back to turn on those paths that we started, and also turn on the aorta so that we can see everything. And if we go back to volume visualization, if we turn it back on, it might not be very clear, but you can move the 3D model around until you're seeing what you would see if you were looking at the patient straight on. So we know that the spinal cord is at the back and the ribs are somewhere at the front. So it could be something like this. And you'll see now that we actually have a little bit of a path coming out of here. So if we're not sure which one that is, you can turn on the coronary arteries until the one that you're looking for disappears. So it's not that one. Okay, so in this case, this path here was the one we named coronary artery 2. So since this is actually the right side of the heart, we now know that this is the right coronary artery. So we can rename it, and you can rename it RCA for short. RCA, yeah, or right coronary artery. And then we didn't have too many points for the other one, but it definitely is somewhere here. So at this point, it might not be too clear. So on your own, as a practice, you can try and change that pixel value range so that the vessels become more clear. And so sometimes our volume visualization options will disappear if we're not if our image isn't selected anymore. So if I click it again, we should be able to change these values. I'm going to turn that off. And I'll turn these off too. And then I'll continue importing in all of our paths. Yeah, sometimes you just need to change the file type if it's not appearing. So I'll open up this one, LCA branch 1. And to avoid confusion, I'm actually going to just remove these paths. So that's something else that you can always do. You can remove any files if needed. Yes. And this one as well. All right, so I'm going to continue importing in. And I'm actually going to do a new share because I don't think you could see those pop-ups that were appearing. So share screen. And then, so going back to our paths, so what I said earlier about removing points, you can click on the path and then remove it if you'd like. So you can remove, and you can remove any path. Say you plotted one out, but it turned out not to be correct. And you can also remove points as well. So let's say we want to go and remove this point here. So what we do is we click on it, and you can click delete here. And you can also undo. So I don't actually want to delete this, but just to show an example, I can delete it here. And then to undo, you can press undo, and then the point will reappear. So I'm going to continue importing in my path. And let's see. Let's see, branch 2. So I gave my paths pretty generic names, just as I was going through them. And if I scroll out a bit, you'll see we have a few branches now that are here. And I'm going to continue importing the remainder. So some of these paths can be quite small, and that's okay, or quite short, as long as you think they are actually paths. So all right, so we have our right coronary artery now. So now if I zoom out a bit more, you'll see we have something on both the right, so the right coronary artery. Again, remember we're looking at where we describe the anatomy from the patient's perspective. So port path, and let's just a few more to go. All right, so we have branch 1, branch 2. All right, import path. And I think there's just one more to go. So RCA branch 3. Yeah, and I think you'll notice here that I actually have one branch here that wasn't exactly, might not have been an actual branch. So I think that was RCA branch 1. So I'm just gonna I'm going to remove this one. And also for best, just as to practice this, make sure to save your SV projects once in a while. The worst thing that could happen is if you've flattened out everything, and if your computer or device were to shut down or anything like that, your data could be lost. So remember to click Save SV Project once in a while. So we have all our paths here now. So we'll get started with the segmentations. And when segmenting, it tends to be easiest just to start off with the aorta. So we'll do that. And you can right-click on segmentations, or right-click on segmentations, and create contour group. So by default, the segmentation or contour group will be named after your path. So in this case, we have our aorta copy, and we're just going to create a contour group for it. So if you want a different name though, you can also change the name here. All right, so now we see that aorta copy has appeared under segmentations, and we can double click on aorta copy, or double click on the name of your segmentations, and this segmentation screen will pop up. So by default, the segmentations display shows the axial, sagittal, and 3D views. However, if you, for whatever reason, want to see want a different display, in this toolbar section, you can actually change the layout that you see. So I'm going to keep it like this for now. But for example, if you wanted to see big 3D, you could click on that and your 3D will display big. So the one that we said that was defaulted for segmentations, was axial and sagittal on the left and 3D on the right. So this is what we have now, and it's a little confusing at first because all we see in axial